Okay, cool. All right, what can we do? Hello, got that, close, poof. Hello, okay, cool. All right, I'm just going to talk to the void for now because this is completely unannounced and I'll be very surprised if anybody's awake. I am currently... Hi, Bo, squeaky, squeaky nips. Egg, allergy, Karen, just a GA girl, tally who? Saltiest tea, peach blossom, Desiree, Karen, just a girl again. Hello, squeaky nips. Yeah, that's a great name. Unicorn, Stormy Jade. Cypher, hello, everybody. Pax Electra, hello. Heather K, hello. Baseball, boom, sorry. Sage 52, Real Marie, Fake Pondu. Can somebody explain the Pondu thing to me? I know it's something to do with foodie. I have no idea what the Pondu has to do with anything, actually. Am I working on something? I am. If I show you the body, Saltiest Tea, Peach Blossom, Yellow Moon. Yeah, okay. See where I'm going with this? I am currently working on the face. I finished the Voodoo Classui yesterday. Well, almost finished. It's even got the Rage Finger Pinky and wings. And if I keep showing you stuff, I'm not going to be reading bits. Okay, it was the one at Alice's, was talking to Koki. Oh, so it didn't mean anything in particular. It was just a name. So if I do the fake name under Pondu, yeah, to cause a Pondu family reunion. She's soccer count. Soccer, yeah, foodie on soccer counts. So it's not a reference to anything in particular. It was just a fake name because it sounds like, obviously it's a play on the word fondue, but I didn't know if the P had anything to do with anything. Marie Pondu. Is Pondu an actual surname then? Named after Pondus. Okay, we got to Unicorn Farts, Enola Ravenmere, Cypher again, Soft Kitty, Michael Furburger. Hello, fellow whale watchers. She was sneaking around talking to him, so she wasn't using that name. Also, there's quite a few names she was sneaking by. It's actually quite incredible that given the level of stalking and harassing and the subterfuge that she went under to keep tracks on Nader and stuff, and she doesn't see that she did anything wrong. It's absolutely flipping incredible. The Yikes family is part of Sin and Sass. So the thing is, I have only stopped watching Foodie about, say, maximum of 2 years. By the time I got to Foodie, she'd already was in Kuwait. And so everything that I get to see is retrospective. And I guess if you don't watch it in real time, you miss a lot of stuff. So there's bits that I don't know or have never seen because everything I've watched has been reaction channels and haven't watched her channel develop in real time. Love my art and crafts PC, miss the merch, damn time zones, squeaky nips. I have merch on the store currently, and I plan to put on more. Well, sort of plan, but the problem is, Shopify, whatever it is, has been a bit of a arse. And if you put in where you want it delivered, it says it doesn't deliver there, which is not true because it has nothing to do with the delivery. I actually physically do it myself. It's a glitch, it's a thing. I might have pressed a button. It's probably I pressed a button because I'm really bad with technology. Stormy Jade, I watched a lot of documentaries on her. I've got, I've got the notes, I've got the summary, but it's the little things like where the name Pondu comes from and other stuff that it pops up every so often, but you don't really get the story behind it. Bo, Pondu in French is too late, so she may have been attempting to be funny with the Marie Toulet. Thank you, Yellowman. That's very sweet of you to say. Hello, Jem. Welcome to Fat Girl's Only Brain Cell. That brain cell's barely functioning at the moment. My sleep pattern is absolutely atrocious. I am in the wrong time zone. Absolutely in the wrong time zone. Problem is I'm waking up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And because of that, I'm going to bed at like 6 p.m. I try to stay up later, but I can't. You've been eyeing that green jacket. It is so close to being finished. The green jacket here. I've literally just got to sew these bits down and that's it. It's an hour's worth of work maximum. And I've been waiting to finish it for 2 years. And if that doesn't sum up the way my brain works, then nothing else does. What's room? What's sleep? Yeah. The problem I'm having, part of the problem I'm having at the moment is my arm and my hand goes completely numb while I'm asleep. And it's not completely as in you can't feel it. It's like that feeling when you've got pins and needles and your hand's starting to get feeling back, but it's like that permanently all night and it's keeping me awake as well. Volsky never such screen said, do you think she'll make it home to Canada or meet her demise in Kuwait? If she doesn't go back to... Okay, look, she's seen a doctor, allegedly, today. I hope that Salah is with her and that he films her weighing, because they will weigh her. And that she publishes it. There's a good chance she wouldn't publish a weigh-in, but she will find out for sure, 100% today how much she actually weighs. Whether she tells us or not is another matter. And the doctor is, presumably, if she sees them, is going to be very stern and stuff, and it might kick it into gear for about 3 days. Maybe she can manage 3 days of trying as best as she can. I don't think she can do longer than that. I'm not even sure she can do that at the point she's at with her food addiction. 1 day is going to be like hell for her. So given the rate of everything that's going on at the moment, physical decline, mental decline, the rate that she's eating, the amount that she's eating has increased exponentially. If she doesn't go back to Canada within the next 2 months maximum, I don't think she's will be physically able to go back to Canada at all, and she will meet her demise there. Alyssa Hassinger, I've had that all evening, can be super scary at times. I got migraines that present like a stroke, along with fibro, and I hate all those feelings. Fibro's a beast. It's an absolute beast. It's cool. I call it chronic everything syndrome because it has so many comorbidities and so many symptoms. No wonder it's so hard to diagnose. When I was pregnant, my hands used to go numb at night, and the doctor said it was because of fluid retention, pressing on my, the carpal tunnel syndrome thing, and they said it would go away after I've had the baby. So obviously it did, but now I don't know, maybe I'm swelling up at night. I have no idea. Let's see. I am looking because if I can gift memberships get creative. Right, how can I gift memberships? I've got show support. No, that's me. How do I gift? Let's have a look. This is not very exciting, I know, I'm sorry. There's so many bits. I mean, I did this last time I did a live was October. Oh, thank you so much, Alicia. That's a beautiful name. That's really beautiful. Again, turn back to pop-up chat, send feedback. Engage with the audience. Okay. If somebody can tell me how I can gift memberships, that would be great. I cannot find the appropriate buttons. Jessie did. I think my gabapentin is making me twitchy. Gabapentin. I was on pregabalin at one point to help me sleep, ironically enough. Not only did it not help me sleep, I also gained 30 kilos in about 6 months. So, yeah, it's not my favourite. Did not like it. Alicia, that's very sweet of you to say. Jonah, I mean, at least, I mean, I don't work. I do work, but not, I work on my own stuff at my own pace. But yeah, sleep. When you have full-blown insomnia, not just the waking up early insomnia, which has a name, I can't remember. I had the flu once and I was so ill, I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep for about 2 days, and you just lie there and you want to cry. It was the most horrible feeling. Hello to Jessie, Jean, Jem, Shauna. Oh, yeah. When I had to come off pregabalin, it was foul. Absolutely foul. The withdrawals were awful. Blue days. Hello. Beautiful butterflies. Soft kitty. Inula Raven May. Cherry butter. Pancakes. Yo. Desiree. 6 autoimmune disorders. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Is it Kankati? Chick? Snow. It doesn't snow here anymore. I remember as a kid, there'd been lots of snow every year. But that was an awfully long time ago. Emperor Stuffed Cloth. Cat Machete. Process to find out if I have pots. Oh, wow. Yeah. No, sorry, my mind went blank there. I was thinking about pots. Because the whole getting up dizzy thing is it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Deeblejacks, Sister Earth, Unicorn Fast, Snowdress. Yeah. Sorry. I don't think if I want some snow. We're currently, well, not officially, as of tomorrow, we're on half term, which is great because there's one thing I don't like is the school runs in the morning. It feels like having to get dressed as opposed to wanting to get dressed is pretty sucky. Have someone you have tinnitus? That's. I was just thinking. The thing is, can you switch off to the noise at all? Is it something you can? I'm not minimizing it. It's just that I know that I am very good at shutting out noises. My ex-boyfriend couldn't switch off to a noise at all. So, like, if there was a dripping tap or a hum in the background, it would drive him absolutely batty. Whereas I would legitimately not hear it. If I was focused on something, if I'm reading and somebody's talking to me, I won't hear the fact that they're talking to me at all. It's like I go deaf. My ex-husband hated that because he thought I was ignoring him, because he's a lovely man. And one thing you didn't do was ignore him if he was trying to talk to you. But if I didn't hear him, I couldn't help it. But it was an issue, let's say, in this household. Kitten zombie, hello. Just a minute. How's the mummy way to see a specialist? No, the ringing doesn't stop. I've never experienced it before. Did it just come on randomly? Did you bang your head? Did you get water in your ears? I'm not trying to diagnose or anything like that, but I'm wondering, did it just happen? Somebody could be at the other end of the house, drop a feather on the carpet, and it would wake me up. Oh, that sucks. Do you know, before I got pregnant and had kids, I was an epic sleeper. I could sleep, championship sleeping. Go to sleep, poof, deep sleep, not wake up. And then when I was pregnant, obviously it gets very uncomfortable at the end. And then once you've got babies, you're on high alert permanently. And now that my kids are old enough that I don't, they wake up, they do everything for themselves, whatever and stuff. I'm now ill. So, yeah, I used to sleep. I remember sleeping very well. Yes. Squeaky nips tinnitus can be a symptom of perimenopause. Really? The thing is, I've presumably, I don't know, gone through the menopause now or still in it. I don't know, because the thing is, what with the fibro as well, I don't know what belongs to what. I do know that when I went on HRT, I seemed slightly less tired. But then I find out that if you are on hormone replacement and you have gallbladder issues, it doesn't go well. So I came off it. I don't know if there's any connection between that and sleeping. That would be awful if there was. Oh, that is something to consider. Oh well. Can't win anyway. There is no winning with chronic illness at all. Squeaking it, my gunner gave me a list and asked me to check off what was affecting me, if any, and tinnitus is actually quite common so far. That's really bizarre. How would that? How? I don't see the connection between menopause and tinnitus. But there again, the body's not the most efficient engine, I've discovered. Very easily faulty and not so easy to get back. The thing is, talking to the moon, is I had an IUD fitted in my early 40s and my periods completely stopped. So I had no idea whether I'm going through the menopause or not. I'm just based it on feeling slightly more crap than normal and my age. So you were diagnosed 18 years ago. I was diagnosed in 2012. I was actually very lucky with the diagnosis because I hear it can take many, many, many years to get diagnosed because it's such a elusive little shit. I say I was lucky because the doctor who saw me, their wife had fibromyalgia, so he knew exactly what I was talking about. Butterfly 71, being female is so much fun. something inconvenient for every age and stage. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When I was at my absolute healthiest, which was, I'd say, when I was 30, I decided to join a gym, and I actually stuck with it. I stuck with it for a long time. I lost a load of weight. I could run for an hour. I mean, run, not just, walk and stuff. And I felt really good. But I had fibrocystic breasts, which meant I just had lumpy breasts that were very painful. And I was told it's just something you get, and it will go in your menopause. And so I don't think there's ever been a time I can remember as an adult there wasn't something going on. I mean, there was depression, was a good one. I started in my 20s. My periods as a teenager before I went on a pill were absolutely hellish. They were hell. My periods were so heavy and so painful. I would be curled up in a ball on the floor crying until I went on the pill. And so, yeah, my body's not been cooperative pretty much as I can remember. And yeah, my mum was recently diagnosed with fibro. I took a picture for her to show her doctor of some of her symptoms in action. After months of me trying to convince her to ask the doctor, she finally did. The thing is, fibro feels like so many other things. And it can be so many other things as well, can't it? As I said, it's a chronic everything syndrome. Sorry, I'm going to have a drink. Caffeine and me have a long history, a very, very long history. Taffy Grise, what am I up to? I am making a anglerfish voodoo booty. It's actually not going badly. I'm not going to say it's gone really well because I believe that if you say things out loud, life hears you and then laughs. So, Kiwi Girl, I'm 49, have IUD as well. I don't know if I'm going through the menopause either. I don't know how we'd know. No, me neither. I was just thinking about the hot flashes and stuff. But I get that with my fibro, but I get that apparently hot flashes only happen at night, and with me it's all the time. So I think that's more fibro than menopause. And my mother, I remember my mother going through menopause, even though I was really young. And I'd be sitting on her knee and suddenly she'd have to take me off because of a hot flash or stuff. And I didn't experience anything like that as far as I'm aware. Because as I said, when you've got other chronic illnesses, you don't know what belongs to what. Endometriosis, have a mum, and my periods were hell. I can't imagine. I mean, I have a perfectly healthy uterus because I had a laparoscopy in my early 20s to see if anything was causing it. And so without there actually being a physical problem, as in a diagnosable problem for it, they were awful, awful, awful. And you have people that, they say, oh no, I've got to change my pad like twice during the day. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? It was like once an hour, a pad plus tampon at times. Is that Reginald Sultan of Scat? Right. Any chance we could get a downloadable file to create our own voodoo? I've been thinking about this. The thing is, I don't use patterns. I've gotten to the point, a channel mascot, stuffy by cow with a forehead too and cat eye spectacles. I have so many old pairs of spectacles that I could attach to stuffies. Anyway, so I don't use patterns. I started off just Googling how to make a ball, which is the petal shapes. You need 6 to make a ball. And then what I did with the ball was I kind of tailored it once it was stuffed by taking in bits and then adding bits. And after a while, you get a feel for it. The very basic doll shape. I think I could make a pattern of it. I wouldn't want to sell it though. I'd just make it available. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that does all the work. I'll give that some thought. I will give that some thought. Tuxedo Bowie, you and my vice favorite reactor, much less from Edmonton. That's the States, isn't it? It's very confusing because I've lived in Edmonton in London. I've lived in Rochester, which is in Kent. I have a friend who lives in Cornwall, which is an entire state, for want of a better word, in the UK. Victory Faction. I hand sew everything. I do have a second-hand sewing machine. I switched it on once, threaded it, put my foot on the pedal to make it start, and it scared the life out of me. And I've never gone back to it since. I found it very intimidating. I know there's control and there's different, you can put your foot down slower and stuff, but it was so shocking to me. I'm like, I can't do this. And I've been hand sewing for so long anyway, I just thought I'd stick to it. I don't know if you know this program. I mean, maybe. I don't know if it made it across the pond. I started sewing after watching a BBC program called The Great British Sewing Bee, which is a sewing competition for making clothes. And it's, if you can get it, find it something. Watch, if you like sewing, watch The Great British Sewing Bee. It's fantastic. It's one of those programs that makes you want to try something. My opinion, it's better than the Bake Off. The Bake Off was great, fantastic for the first. When it had Mel and Sue as presenters, it was fantastic. And then I haven't watched it for the last 3 years or 4 years now. Mayno, I can't say that name. How did you experiment with your art style? I'm just trying to learn how to improve mine, but just low-key, sucky hardcore right now. The thing of the matter is, I can't. I will admit it hand on heart. Maybe if I concentrated really, really hard, I could do realism, but I'm not good at it at all in terms of a portrait or a landscape or something like that. And it doesn't interest me. Now, I like horror stuff, obviously, but because of my inability to do realism, 95% of everything I do ends up looking kind of cute. And so I just went with it. It's obviously my default art style. Creepy, but cute. I can't do creepy scary. I can't do creepy realistic. There's always a certain cartoony nature to what I make. But I find it enjoyable. I can't, if something isn't enjoyable, I can't finish it. I just can't do that to myself. It feels too much like working or homework or stuff like that. My dad's favourite night was Saturday watching his British comedies on PBS. From what decade though? Because if it was the British comedies from the 70s and 80s, they were very, let's say, dubious, for want of a better word, before the PC thing popped up. And then anything after that just didn't quite have the same thing. Talking about the Kenny Everett show in particular, and not the 9 o'clock news, and Alas Smith and Jones, 40 Towers, Are You Being Served? It Ain't Our Fault, Mum. Benny Hill, that kind of thing. It was a special era for British comedy, and none of it would be tolerated now. Alicia Hassenberg, such an inspiration to so many. My pirate-obsessed nephew. Oh, cool. Thank you so much, Nacho Girl. That is incredibly sweet of you. And Taffy Grazy, thank you so much. I still don't know how to gift memberships. I saw it last time I was on here and got very confused. And I'm loath to press buttons. I'm so sorry. Butterfly 71. I now have 10 times as many people on my chats as Chantel had. 158. That's incredible, considering it is a really, really awkward time in the morning. If I'd managed 2 hours earlier, a lot of people would have still been awake. I know it's too early for people my side of the planet. Have some mum. I used to sneak and watch Benny Hill on UHF when I was a kid. He was hilarious but very naughty. I know, lots of women in their underwear. Oh, members, cool. Little Seven, Jessie, Jeannie, Loose Cannon, Carl Bunny, Somebody's Problem, Soft Kitty, Ali, Elber, Beauty and Chaos, Kitten Zombie, and Reginald, Sultan of Scat. Brilliant. Fantastic. 40 Towers. Are You Being Served? Mr. Humphreys, are you there? That was a particularly special thing about I can't, Mrs. Humphreys' pussy. Yes. And the chase scenes of the Benny Hill. There was always a chase scene, wasn't there? The two Ronnies, that was quite good. Only Fools and Horses. Open All Hours. Yeah. Dylan the Angry Sauerkraut. Foodie's views have seriously tanked. Everybody's fed up. Even the legitimate supporters are fed up. Hello, Eileen Riker. And I don't know. The thing is, it is very obvious money is a very big problem, given all the ways she's trying to get money. Salah has obviously gotten to the point where he can't even be bothered to pretend anymore. And so Foodie is in a narcissistic spiral of trying to do damage control and give the illusion that things are fine and dandy, when given how she's eating and self-soothing with food, they are obviously not. And it's really hard. She set up a PayPal for feeders. Yeah, which is a really vicious cycle to be stuck in. If you can imagine that you have a food addiction and you need money to pay for the food, you get money from feeders, which means you have to eat, but you have a food addiction, so you eat more. And so she needs money to pay for the food, to entertain the feeders, for them to pay. She's got herself absolutely and utterly stuck. Hello, Rocky. Hello, baby. Yeah, Rocky's on my... Plus, her visa run is very close. Yes, allegedly it's around the 1st of April. I think... Oh, okay, Heather Joy, thank you so much. That is really sweet. Is that a hippo? That's brilliant. That's also very, very apt because apparently I look like a hippo's testicles. So that's great. I was actually chuffed to pieces being called a hippo's testicles by Foodie, because before I realised it was about me, I was thinking that was legitimately the best insult she's ever come up with, ever. And so I'm actually very honoured to be bestowed that privilege of having this seriously the most creative insult that Foodie's ever come up with to be about me. I don't know how I presumed it was because of this bit. But who knows how her brain works. Yes, somebody is purring. Excuse me. Dylan, the angry summer can't coming from a 450-pound super morbidly obese death fat who needs a zillion filters. Leanna, she called you that. Allegedly. I knew she'd called somebody a hippo's testicles. And then on Twitter, somebody had posted a transcript of all the insults she had given people during that live. And apparently the hippo's testicles was about me. So I am honoured. I'm honoured. It must have taken a couple of days to come up with, which is ironic because I know this sounds pathetic. I actually Googled hippo's testicles. I wondered, what they looked like. And apparently they don't descend. So you cannot actually see a hippo's testicles. They are in the abdomen. So she couldn't even get that right. Shell Daly, congratulations on being on the most hated list. I know, it's weird. I'm such a small channel in comparison. And she will not say me by name. Apparently that means something. Hang on, if I just drop you down a little bit. No, I have to drop you down a lot. There she is. She's got her claws stuck into my ankle. Yes. So I'm invisible then. I don't exist. I'm hidden. I am hidden. Have some, Mum. I think Salad wasn't there the other night, and when she blew her bat outside his door, what do you think? That fart woke up a whole building. Now, I know bodily functions happen at the most inappropriate of times. I don't understand not wanting to die of embarrassment after that happens. I would literally want to crawl under a rock and hide had that happened to me. She was very, very proud of it. And there is some speculation, given the kind of drawings that Anime Sucks makes, that... Do you remember, have you ever seen a mukbang when she asked people whether or not they found the passing of gas offensive? And I got the impression she was trying to find out if there was a market for it. And then she must have got some very positive responses, because every video ever since, she's been very free with her bodily functions. She is definitely, and has been for a very, very long time, been catering to very particular preferences, let's say. And she only tried to tame that down at the beginning of the Muslim arc because obviously it didn't fit in with her new persona. But that's gone out the window too now. Destiny Louis, sorry, is she trying to say the whole Kybella thing never happened? She's trying, in a way, she is saying that everything is fake, although she hasn't addressed the voice messages. She's saying the photos aren't him because without the face you don't know, which we all know has been disproved because of the very distinctive body hair pattern. And I guess the likelihood of it matching exactly with somebody else is practically zero. She's saying the text messages were fake. And she's also saying she had technically separated with him then anyway, so technically it wasn't cheating. So apparently the fake affair didn't technically happen anyway, which doesn't make sense. And she said in the same live stream that she had an apartment. She was looking for an apartment. She had an apartment with Pete. She wanted to live alone. She had gotten a bachelor apartment, and then she was looking for an apartment. So she's already contradicted herself entirely. And I don't think she can mentally keep up with herself anymore. The mental decline is shocking, absolutely shocking, because if you look at her earlier stuff, she was far more eloquent. I'm not going to say that she was ever, particularly articulate, but she was more put together prior to Nader, for sure. She's mixing up Canada trips. As you know, I would have bet money on her last Canada trip being one where she was going to stay. Absolutely. I 100% believed that Canada trip was the Kuwait arc over. And then a couple of days later, she was back and was very happy about proving me wrong. Again, without saying my name. She actually did that to me, which was devastating. It really hurt me. Early onset of dementia. Well, 1 minute. Diabetes can affect, if it's untreated, the insulin and the glucose. Basically, the glucose, the excess of glucose, and the fact that it can't be. Sorry, my cat is now going under my. There she goes. Damages a lot of things in the body, and there is a kind of noticeable decline in cognitive function if you let the diabetes do whatever it wants. So I think it's the diabetes. It's irreversible. She's killing her brain. Amongst everything else, she is killing her brain. Superstorm 16. Have anybody noticed that Salah's laughs have become less frequent since Fat Cal's video about that? Yes. Whether it's a result of that or whether it's the fact that since then, there's nothing in any of her lives to be laughed at either. So the last week has been absolutely horrendous. The last week, there has been a significant decline to the lying, to the frequency of eating, to the amount. I mean, the KFC, that was 3 meals. I'm sure that was 3 meals worth of food. Because as Santa said, the fries, the cheesy fries can only be ordered as a family portion. She then added another portion of chips to it. She had 2 sandwiches and some chicken tenders. That's three meals. She ate it all easily, easily. I find that absolutely mind-boggling that amount of food can be eaten. I mean, I've watched My 600 Pound Life. I haven't watched it for quite a while now. I overdid it, I think. I the last time I watched it, I watched the 3 episodes that were made about, I can't remember his name. The guy who died, he lived with his mum. His mum died. He kept getting inpatient treatment. He would lose like 100, 200 pounds in the hospital, come back, and then put on, I think at one point he put on 180 pounds in a month or 2 months or something. I watched his 3 episodes back to back, and I watched all the episodes back to back about James King and about Stephen Asante. And then after that, I was just like, this is morbid. And but the amount of food they could put away, and there's been, when Dr. Now removes the stomach and he says, you know, this stomach is 5 times bigger than it should be, or this, I think the largest stomach he pulled out was 7 times larger than normal in terms of it being stretched because of the amount of food you can eat. I would imagine food is at least 5 times bigger than normal. And also the esophagus gets looser so that you can swallow more in one go. I mean, your body adapts to eating that quantity of food, and therefore, after a while, that quantity of food stops being satiating, which is one of Foodie's favourite words, which gets on my nerves. She's never said satiated. And so, more food. It's incredible what your body will adapt to as well. And quite frankly, I'm surprised she's even lasted the last year. There was if you see videos of her, I just saw one from BBQ Chillim that was August 15th, 2022. Okay. And there was one bit, sorry, that's my feet on the chair. Sorry, that sounds like an excuse. So I'm kind of stuck with that. And also I watched Girl Island, covering the first Thai trip. And there is a part in that where she's wearing the blue denim shirt and she's just bought some, I think it's a durian fruit. And she turns and walks towards us. But for a small part, you can see that her gunt, her lower stomach, is very clear under the shirt. She's not wearing an overskirt or anything, so it's literally the shape of her stomach in leggings. And it was pretty low down and pretty big then. I mean, it was just above her knees. And that was October, November-ish of 2023. And we know she is significantly bigger than that. And there's quite a few very brief clips of her in that Thailand one with Salah, where the filters don't work, and she was shockingly large then. I mean, and so I used to watch Shauna Steele. I stopped watching about the same time I stopped watching my £600 Life. The new people I can't get into. Maybe I'll go back to that. Actually, out of curiosity, if I was to react to my £600 Life, would any of you find that interesting? The same. And so, okay, so in Thailand, where she was significantly more mobile, in brackets, she was huge then. And if you can find the August 15th, 2022 video, she weighs herself and she is 332 pounds in that video. And see, because you get to see her full glory in terms of the shape at 332 pounds, and compare it to now where she claims she's slightly over 350. There's no way on this earth she is less than 400, less than 450 even, I would say. Absolutely. Well, if she goes to the doctor today, she will know for a fact how much she weighs. And we will never know. She will not allow that to be published because it will just prove that she's fixed her scales, which I 100% believe weigh £100 less than they should do. Lalaboo, imagine the stress her joints are under. I can't imagine, because I know what my joints feel like. I know I have a condition that I have a condition that means everything's going to hurt anyway, regardless. I was almost 300 pounds at one point, and I hated every second of it. I was so ashamed with myself in terms of, it wasn't that I wouldn't go out, I hid myself. No, I did everything I had to. I went out, I functioned as normal. But when I was pregnant, obviously, you get a really large stomach. But I didn't get stretch marks. I didn't get stretch marks at all. Also, I put on a lot of weight. Every time I got pregnant, I put on so much weight. But I never got stretch marks on my stomach. But when I went up to 300 pounds, I got stretch marks on my stomach. So you've got to understand that my stomach got bigger then than it did when I was pregnant. And when the first time I noticed the stretch marks, because I was kind of oblivious to the fact I was that big, you kind of ignore it. But when I saw I had stretch marks on my stomach, the feeling of shame for myself, and I can't think of another word than shame. I cried that I had done this to my body without even noticing it. I didn't notice I'd gotten that big. And you think you would, because, you need bigger clothes, you need this and this and that. But I hadn't noticed. It was the day I was in the bath and I noticed I had stretch marks on my stomach it suddenly clicked what I'd done. and I was 125 kilos, I think. So I'm not even. I wasn't even, you know, there in terms of foodie's weight, or not what she claims now, but what she was in 2022. And I am 7 inches taller than she is as well. And the difference. Oh, really? Oh, K Bell's gifted 5 memberships. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just, because I'm talking. Bless you. Absolutely bless you, K Bell. I am so sorry I missed that. So sorry I missed that. And I've lost 22 kilos. But now I've got the sagginess. I didn't. I'm so sorry. Not the second lot. I am so sorry. I am not good at the whole talking and doing stuff at the other time. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much, K Bell. I absolutely hate, for want of a better word, my fupa, the sagginess, the whatever. It bothers me immensely. I can't imagine living in Foodie's body at all. At all. I can't comprehend. I can't. I mean, having been bigger, but still a fraction of her size, and being taller, and having a chronic illness as well. On top of that, I know how bad your body can feel when you're carrying extra weight as well. And I imagine that the pain I feel from the fibromyalgia of my joints and things is pretty much what she probably lives with all the time. But the thing is, she can alleviate all this. With chronic illness, you've got it. You can't make it better. You can make it less worse, I think is the best way to describe it. There's a big difference between less worse than better. But she can make things better. She can't fix things, but she can make them better. I don't have a green. What, something at the top? I don't have a green thing at the top. Oh, hello. Talking to the Mo. Thank you so much. That's absolutely fantastic. Tavon B, hello you. You're on Twitter a lot. I know. The last topic of conversation on Twitter about the Dubai parties was pretty horrific. I had more to add to that, but it wasn't. It was really going down a rabbit hole that you don't want to know about. From what I've been told by somebody who knew somebody who was hired for a Dubai party. Lullaby, my joints would be screaming or on fire with so little walks hurts. Not even being overweight still hurts. Exactly. I mean, my mobility. Look, on paper, I seem fine, but I have no stamina at all, and everything hurts. But when you live in pain, you don't show it. You just don't show it. So to a casual observer, you wouldn't see somebody who, has a chronic illness. It has to be really bad for you to be able to see, that that there's something different. If you paid attention, I mean, really, really paid attention, you might notice that there's a slight limp or something's a bit off, or that, you know, a grimace, or that I rub my back a lot, you know, or I walk pushing my back forward a bit and things. But Dubai parties, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. Seriously. How many members are there now? I don't know. I do know there's 239 people watching. And I do know, I'm pretty sure that members have gone up by at least 50% in this hour. Oh, cool. So I am very, very, very grateful. Spoon theory. When I first found out about spoon theory, it was like, that is a really, 25 new members. Brilliant. A really, really good way of describing it. I don't know where they came up with spoons, though. Why spoons? I guess it's because it holds. Yeah, maybe. As a type 2, I can tell you when sugar is high, everything changes. You get tired and snarky, cloudy-minded. It's bad. I don't know how she does it. She medicates herself with food. Gilly Nuth, also a member of the chronic pain gang. Somebody's problem, spoonies. You get to the point where it feels like autopilot and no one wants to hear it. So we bear up, and humour is the key. Okie-doll. I have lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and other autoimmune diseases. I'm so sorry. Spoon theory has been around a long time. Yeah, but you got to understand. I was very cut off from a lot of things. Sounds like I was trapped. Oh my God. Pretty Girls Full. That is absolutely incredible. Wow. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. When I lived in the Middle East, I was very cut off from a lot of things in terms of, I didn't know what the latest music was, what was fashionable, what was, the current thinking in a lot of ways and stuff. And when I got back to the UK, the most noticeable thing was I was absolutely mortified. Bearing in mind, I also had really young kids when I returned to the UK, at the amount of nudity in the media, because I hadn't seen nudity in the media for over a decade. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked at how, quite frankly, many boobs you would come across in the normal course of the day. It sounds really weird to say that, but even though I had access to Western TV and everything like that, obviously the advertising outside the billboards, the newspapers, the music that's played on the radio, everything was censored. Okay, B squared. Lynn, due to the fibro or CFS, you only have so many spoons in a day, amount of pains. And if you do too much, run out of spoons, which sucks. And borrowing spoons from the next day sucks. 50. That's more than members I actually had as of yesterday. That's incredible. That's doubled. Ooh. Sorry, I've been a little bit like Amber Lynn. See? Sorry. Thank you so much. Oh, I just wanted to say, the change in my diet because of my gallbladder, suspected gallbladder thing, is going really well. I've had a couple of rumblings, let's say, a bit of discomfort, but nothing close to. It was kind of more of a, hey, don't do anything silly kind of warning thing. I've 99% stuck to all the guidelines. I have fallen on 4 occasions to gummy sweets, which isn't the worst thing I could eat, but I should be avoiding sugar as well. So apart from 4 packets of gummy sweets, I've actually stuck to it completely. And it's quite surprising I stuck to it completely because, as you know, I have a problem with binging, and usually it's biscuits and crisps and stuff. But I think the pain of the last attack scared the ever-living life out of me. And so I've almost mostly stuck to it, and it's going really, really well. I've noticed my skin, my face is significantly better, and I am losing on average a pound a week, so that's brilliant too. But I've literally removed all fat, all gluten completely, most sugar because of the gummies, and no cheese. That was a bit hard. No red meats. So no fat, no sugar, no gluten. I am basically living off protein yogurts, fruit, and sushi, which I'm actually quite enjoying. But the problem is I have a tendency to fixate on certain foods, and I will eat the same thing for every meal, every day for months. And that's basically it at the moment. There was one point, and this is an ADHD thing, a food fixation, that I ate vegan vanilla ice cream with sugar-free 100% peanuts, crunchy peanut butter for at least 2 meals a day, every day for 2 years. I get very fixated on our food, and nothing else will interest me. And at the moment, as I said, it's protein, yogurts, and sushi and fruit. So it could be worse. It could be vanilla ice cream and peanut butter. I have a hyperfixation, but it lasts a month at a time. Last hyperfixation was scallops, potatoes. Mashed potatoes would be very dangerous. Toast, if I wasn't scared of eating bread, would be very dangerous. I've been fixating on foods for even since I was at school. I remember I had a 3-month period at school where all I ate was cheese and tomato sandwiches, and the only things that changed was the type of cheese and the type of bread. Okay. Whitebird, I went on the FODMAP diet, restrictive, but found my trigger. I'm trying to remember what the FODMAP is. I can't remember what the FODMAP is. Is that like the glycemic? No. I know. Yeah, anyway. Your longest run was 2.5 years with oatmeal and berries or fruit for breakfast every day. Yeah, my longest was the vanilla ice cream and the peanut butter. And then I decided, no, we cannot do this anymore. And so I fixated on Halo ice creams, the low sugar diety ones. So I'd have 3 of those a day and some other stuff, but basically the tub of ice cream was the meal. And Halo ice creams max out about 400 calories. So I thought, well, it's not so bad, and it's definitely not got gluten in it, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, nope, ice cream is banned And that's where the protein yogurts stepped up. Your last fixation, Jessie Jean, was Oreos. Can't have just one. Can't have one biscuit. Have to have the whole packet. We've been doing protein bars for dessert. Protein bars were a problem for me for one point as well, because you think, oh, they're healthy. Can have those, you know, everything's counted. You get all your vitamins and minerals and stuff. So yeah, food's a thing. A thing. It's always been a thing for me. Since I was about 14, I think. It became a thing. But in a different way. Could have been worse. It could have been a self-soothing way, but it wasn't. It was a weird way. I have to eat jelly sweets in pairs, and they have to be the same colour. Kind of weird. I will separate my jelly sweets into their colours, then eat them in descending order of favourites in pairs. Same with M&Ms, Skittles, anything that's coloured. Yeah, and it took me that long to work out that I was neurodivergent. Go figure. Oh, yeah. Sorry. When I think about it, if I think about everything in terms of my illnesses, my mental health, my neurodivergence, all my little quirks, all my little things, it just makes me think how the human body is so bizarre and weird and doesn't make sense. And I mean, I grew up in a period of time where people didn't talk about autism or ADHD or anything like that. And although I knew I was the weird kid, I had an inkling. I knew about my dyslexia. I mean, that was pretty obvious. But that was the only thing that was diagnosably different about me. I just thought I thought everybody was like I was. I believe I was noticeably different. But then I've been thinking about that, looking back recently, actually. And hindsight is like, yeah, you were the weird kid. You were the weird kid. At the time, I thought everybody was the same. Things have certainly changed. Separate colours and eating three, so you messed up. And eating in reverse order of favourites. Like if you have a roast dinner, you save the thing you like best last. So you use your roast potatoes. Kitty Zombie, I think the human body could be a best friend and a worst enemy at the same time. If it wasn't for the fact that we were intelligent, we would not survive in the wild. We have no abilities. I mean, if a cat gets injured, say they have an abscess and it pops, it heals by itself. It doesn't need medication. I mean, in the wild, it fixes itself. If that happened to us, we'd probably die of sepsis. Betty Boo, you're on a beach in India. Lots of love to you. Oh. That reminds me of being on a beach in Thailand a long time ago. It's it's peaceful. My favourite memories, absolute favourite memories, and this is going to sound kind of sad, but my two most favourite memories are being alone in the middle of nature. Okie doke. Years ago, I was into fruits and yogurt and nuts and oats, and I can make it 700-800 calories easy. Mac and cheese gets eaten last. First, we battle the Brussels sprouts. Yeah, you need gravy for Brussels sprouts. There's no other way. Allegedly, there's ways to cook them that make them taste nice, but all I can say is I haven't found that. I literally only eat Brussels sprouts at Christmas, and only because my mum makes them. The handsomest man, all of us were the weird kids. I would say by default, or the fact that they're on here now, probably. Gotta own it. This is not, excuse me, this is not a corner for certain demographics of certain thinkings and leanings to be. The Wellness Homesteader. I woke up at 11 p.m. Ohio time, drilled to allow thunderstorm, weird weather, as it will change to snow by 7 a.m. My sleep is also screwed up. Mrs. Morrison reads, if you're weird, you're unique and you are yourself. More people need to be weird. More people need to stop thinking that weird is weird, if you know what I mean. Everybody's, not everybody, but this whole trying to be normal business. Nobody's normal. I don't think normal exists. It's like perfection doesn't exist. Rat snacks. Was it hard for you to get a doctor to diagnose all the ADHD and neurodivergence? I asked my doctor if I could be tested for autism due to my boyfriend saying I have signs, and my doctor laughed and said no. The thing is, I didn't know. Apart from the dyslexia, I didn't know until I had my kids. And it very obviously became apparent that both my children were neurodivergent. And as you know, it's genetic. And finding out about their neurodivergences made it very, very obvious. You know, you're reading stuff and you're going, oh, you know, everything becomes clear and you're like, okay. And so that is how it began for me. So mid-30s, took me to my mid-30s. And then you look back at everything and you're like, okay, that makes sense. And in a way, it's nice it makes sense. But also there's a part of you that wishes you knew earlier. And both mine have different takes on neurodivergence as well. I have a very, 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 very tidy child and an incredibly messy child that's very fond of doom piles, much like myself. They can sit there for a long time and then suddenly one day the only thing I can focus on is getting rid of them, and nothing else can be done at all until they're gone. It does validate a lot of our experiences growing up. It certainly does. I mean, for a long time, you think you're just shy when it comes to socializing and talking to people and things. And it's not shyness at all. Yes, it's something else. And I'd been pulled up on it. Like some people say, why don't you look at us? You know, why don't you make eye contact when you say hello? And I wouldn't be aware that I'm not doing it. And so I overcompensate and just end up staring like I want to kill somebody. And, yep, Stormy Jade. I can't imagine life any other way, to be honest. In a weird peculiar way, I'm proud to be. I was going to say unusual. I can't think of the word, but no, there's no shame. I find no shame in it at all. At all. And the odd thing is that with my children and then myself, it's very obvious that my mother is as well. So that's interesting. And I mentioned it to her. She's 88 now. So it's a bit late to be adapting to the news. You're actually neurodivergent. But that made a lot of sense too. Once realizing my mother was on the spectrum, it made my childhood with her make more sense as well. Stormy Jade, you found out by accident while in college and took a test that they were running as a study. That must have been interesting because you weren't looking for it. It found you. Sugar Pop Lily May, I adore you. Thank you so much. I myself am weird, and the older I get, the weirder I'm getting. I absolutely intend to age as disgracefully as conceivably possible. If by the time I'm 60, I don't look like some kind of pagan oracle, I will be very, very upset. I don't think I'd ever get to the point of wearing antlers in public, but I wouldn't put it past me. I do absolutely intend to get permanent fangs. Absolutely intend to get permanent fangs, but I have forbidden myself from getting them until I have disposable income. Would I ever feel comfortable talking about the divorce? What was the last straw? The last straw is funny because you'd think with all the stuff that had ever happened, everything that had ever happened, you'd think the last straw would be something dramatic. But it wasn't. He had gone back to his native country and we would meet on Skype every evening. And he got so angry at me for something that he was shouting. And this is the exact moment. I don't remember what he was saying. I do remember what the argument was about. But he was so angry and shouting that spit was flying from his mouth. And it was the spit that made me suddenly realize I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this. Things will never get better. It was the spit flying out of his mouth because he was so angry. And that second, I made the decision I was leaving. I didn't leave that second. I planned everything. I came up with a story to, explain certain changes away, so that I, could get away and stuff. And I made sure that, yes, saliva saved me. The thing is, I'd never contemplated, I'd never tried, I'd thought about it. Obviously, you think about leaving. But I absolutely knew that if I did this, I had to make sure that was it. This was my only chance, because if I tried and it failed and I had to go back to him, my life, as bad as it was, would be significantly worse, to the point that I think I wouldn't be alive now. Or I would be, but I wouldn't have my children with me. He would have taken them. So I had to absolutely make sure that this was my first and last effort. So there was that argument, there was the spit flying from his mouth, and me realizing, if you can get that angry that you're doing this and you don't notice you're doing this, there's literally no hope. And so I spent the next month making sure everything was covered. Everything was covered. You need to pack what you need, but you need it in a way that it doesn't become obvious that things are starting to disappear around the house. You have to make things like, if your children are young and they have a favourite toy, the sort of favourite toy that if it was suddenly not there anymore, it would be suspicious. You'd start persuading the child to take the toy everywhere, so that if you went out in the car, the toy went with them and stuff like that. It is lots of sneakiness and preparing and making sure things aren't suspicious. You don't pack away. You pack their worst clothes, in terms of it's stuff you could say legitimately would be given away to charity if it was noticed it was missing. You don't store it in the home or in the car. You find another place to store it. You don't use any of your existing luggage. You get new. If you can, that is. If you have some degree of freedom, like you're the one that drives the kids to school and things, and you make sure that on that day you take the kids to school as usual. You don't change any things. And there's so much planning and things you have to think about. Like, why is that box packed? For what reason is that box packed? If he asks, what's that doing there? You need to say, you need to find a reason, an explanation for it and things, and be able to justify it. And then you've got to plan your finances. You've got to plan where you're going to go. You've got to make sure that you have alternative phones or a SIM card or whatever, so that the minute you bugger off, you get rid of your SIM card and you've got another one, so you're not contactable or traceable or anything. There's so much thought you've got to put in it. And if anybody is in that situation, no, I didn't get outside help. No. If you find yourself in a position where you know you have to leave, I would say don't, unless you know for sure it's going to work. I don't mean that in a scary kind of bad way, and I'm not discouraging people from leaving. What I mean is, if there is a chance your plan will lead you to going back to that person or being found, I can't imagine what your life would be like after that. If you can, and if you're prepared to go to the kind of refuges and organizations that will give you a completely new identity, if you are willing to give up your existing family and your friend circle, because I eradicated in some ways all my friends. I ceased contact with absolutely everybody. Yeah, it's hard. It's worth it. It's worth it. I have had to struggle for money and everything since, but I would happily live with that struggle than living in some financial security with him. It's hard to describe. It's not that it's hard to talk about. It's hard to get across the feelings, the emotions, the everything, and the feeling of leaving. How long have I been free? It's 10 years now. 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. White bird. Yeah. You literally start all over again. Absolutely. From the ground up. Everything. You leave with whatever you can carry or whatever you can get in the back of your car. That's it. That's it. But I don't regret a single day of it, no matter how hard it got and how much you struggle and all the things you have to go through afterwards. Absolutely, absolutely worth it. Worth it. Yeah. Kelly, it's hard to paint the picture, set the scene, and build up that includes the words said and emotions. Yes. Are you feeling safe now? Are you still suffering PTSD? You never feel safe. Not safe. Not entirely safe. And even now, and it sounds, I don't know, it doesn't sound ridiculous, but if I'm driving and a car has been behind me for too long, I get scared. But other than that, it's easier now because both my kids are adults or almost adults. And once they're both adults, if they say no, he can't see them. A court would say he can't try and get hold of them. He can't this and that. Neither of them want anything to do with him. But it's got to the point that once they're adults, he can't legally try and find them. I don't think you'll ever 100% be free from an abusive relationship. There's things. There is a certain body language they used to do when, if I was trying to, explain something to him and he either didn't believe me or didn't want to hear me or stuff, there was a certain way he would stand and a certain way that he puts his hands. And if anybody does that, it immediately makes me anxious. A certain tone of voice. People cannot raise their voices at me. I mean, obviously they can, but what I mean is I can't deal with being shouted at. I cannot. I will go out of my way to avoid conflict. And obviously, I've got my chronic illness, which I 100% attribute to that relationship. Absolutely. I'm unwell because of that. Psychologically, I have triggers. If I was ever to hear his voice again, let alone see him, I would probably have a panic attack. I had panic attacks frequently. I was put on medication for panic attacks. And it turned out that my panic attacks stopped when I left. So that explains all that lot. Anyway, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. It's a thing that happened to me. It's in the past. I'm still dealing with it in different ways now because of the chronic illnesses and stuff. But it's not it's history. It's something that happened. It doesn't define me at all. It's my story, but it's only part of my story. But I don't know who I would have been. I can't imagine who I would have been if I hadn't have gone through it. Yeah, it changes you. But I would say I'm wiser for it. That's not saying that, I think anything, it's not that I wish it on anybody. It's not a learning experience I wish on anybody. But I am wiser for it. I'm also kinder for it. I'm more empathetic for it. I'm more, I don't know. Sounds weird to say that I'm a better person for it because it makes me sound like, I'm grateful it happened because I'm not. But it did something positive to me. I took something from it. I definitely learnt from it. Hang on. Fat Cow, if I may ask, was this the man that you had to sign a paper to? It was the man I married legally in a courthouse in a Middle Eastern country. And it's why I know what a Middle Eastern marriage certificate looks like. I know what is involved to get married in a court in the Middle East. The piece of paper, the single sheet of paper that Salah was holding in his hand, didn't appear to be thick enough, in my opinion, because it's several sheets of paper. You have to have your passport photographs attached to the paper. And where I was, you signed it with your signature, but you also put your fingerprint on the paper, in part over the photograph and over the paper, so that, no alterations could be made. Now, I don't know if that applies to Kuwait, because I wasn't in Kuwait, but a lot of places do need biometric, even back then, identifiers for the paperwork. And I didn't notice any ink on their thumbs, because that ink does not come off the date, and it's purple. I know that WASFA is a thing, but I also know that the amount of people that are in that position to do that kind of thing is few and far between, because I married into a family that had somebody who was very, let's say, influential, for want of a better word, my father-in-law. And he was very well regarded. And as a result, a lot of various bureaucracies could be expedited on his bequest. And there's no way Salah would have those kind of connections, even through his father. Absolutely no way. Did they take away my UK? No, I only had a UK passport. I only had a UK passport, but I did have a 10-year visa. Yeah, it was 10 years. So I could come and go as I wanted, if I could. As in, before I got married, I could come and go as I wanted, because I got the 10-year visa before I was married. The Havza mum, I told a story about being in a restaurant cafe with a man and his dad made or tried to make you sign paper. Actually, look, this was prior to me meeting the man who became my husband. And my first job there was a man there, and we wanted to date. He was from a lower class, can I say, for want of a better word. And his father insisted that we had a Urfu marriage, which is a signing of the paperwork, because you can just print it off a computer. A marriage certificate, you can just print it off. The paperwork, the actual sheet of paper with the writing on it, doesn't make it official. It's the stamp, the signatures, the thumbprint, everything else. And they're putting it through the computer and they're registering it that makes it official. The piece of paper in itself, you can download, you can print off. And his father married us. No witnesses. He just made us sign a piece of paper for an Urfu marriage. That all intents and purposes meant that both he and I were married in the eyes of God. And therefore, if we had sex, it wasn't a sin. But it wouldn't count for anything. So I was in an Urfu marriage for a very short while, the normal length of the kind of relationship you have when you're about together for like 3 months and then realise you don't really get on. Is basically a piece of paper that was a get out of jail free card to have sex without committing a sin. And we got divorced by him just saying, I divorce you 3 times out loud. And that's it. So I have been Urfu married, religiously married in the eyes of God, in order to have sex. with a guy without his father getting pissed off. It's not quite a misyah because an Urfu is very secretive. His family knew, nobody else did. A misyah, you have to announce, as in you tell people. It's still only religiously married. It's not recognised in terms of bureaucracy or in the law, but it is more socially acceptable. Slightly. But in my experience, a certain class or below will do Urfu and Misyah marriages. One, for marriages are very expensive, and two, it's acceptable because it's religious. It's religiously acceptable. And there's not much need for bureaucracy and things because their contact with bureaucracy isn't that much. And you will tend to find that the less economically advantaged a person is, the more committed they are to their faith, let's say. The upper middle to higher classes are less bothered by dating, let's say. There are a lot of encounters, let's say, for a better phrase, of the children of the wealthy. I dated my husband for 6 years before we married, and I would stay at his place. He had his own place often, and obviously we were sexually active until I converted. Then I decided no. Lots of well, it was just like any other Western place, basically. Hide it from your parents. Bonk wherever you can. I knew one person who would hire a boat, just a rowing boat that was rowed by a guy, and would ask the guy to drop him and his girlfriend off at a little island, and they would do their thing there and then come back. You'd find places to do stuff. I had my own apartment that I shared with one other girl before I got married, and sometimes a friend of hers would come over with their boyfriend to, not that I thought that was a good thing. I thought it was quite cheeky, but what can you say? It wasn't my friend. And so you find places to do things, you do things. And I knew of people that had abortions, although they're against the law. Life finds a way. There was lots of alcohol, drugs, sex out of wedlock in the upper classes, let's say. Do I actually think the food in Salah did a misyah or Urfu marriage? I think so. And I think it was in a pharmacy, because all you need is the piece of paper and a witness. That's all you need. And it'd be very, very, very easy for Salah to convince Foodie that that was it. He could have said that he could get it stamped later. He could have told her anything. It's all in Arabic, absolutely 100% in Arabic. You could be signing anything. But going to the courthouse, though, he could have been asking the judge for anything as well. Everything is done in Arabic, absolutely anything. She has to take his word for it. That was what they were doing. Absolutely. I think in the beginning, Foodie believed she was properly married. And I think in time, She doesn't believe it, but she's still holding to her story because she doesn't want to be seen for being an idiot. She doesn't want to be seen to be lying. She will categorically, go to the grave denying that any of these things were factitious. She said she saw 2 judges. Okay. You need 2 judges when you are debating. You see 2 judges when you do an appeal for things. Now, the judge wouldn't have asked her about her father because after the age of 30, your father isn't needed for such things. I was never asked about my father. Not once when I got married. Not once. Never came up. After 30, you don't need your father's permission anymore or his blessing. The 2 judges is needed for an appeal, but it doesn't have to be a marriage appeal. It can be an appeal to speak in her father's absence for things. It could have just been that. It doesn't have to be the marriage. It could just be to get, proof to, what's it called? Equivalent of power of attorney, but for your dad, not for, she doesn't have a dad to speak on her behalf. Give me the power to do it instead, that kind of thing. Unless, a lot of bureaucracy in the Middle East is identical. You couldn't tell that you were going for a driver license between getting a visa or whatever. The offices all look the same. Everything all looks the same. And so it could be anything. It could have been talking about his business. It could have been could have been anything. Anything. Not a marriage, though. Not a marriage. Not without somebody in a significant position of authority, or somebody who was a position of authority who has since retired and is still held in very high regard, being a wasta. No way. Absolutely no way. And we're talking about people in high political office or high up in military or police ranks. I'm not talking about a professor at a university, and not even a Kuwaiti national, a Syrian professor. There's no way. Absolutely no way. And not in the time frame. Sorry, I've kicked the table. Not in the time frame. Absolutely no way. No. Hava's mum, as soon as it's over, I bet she cries abuse and tries to report him to the authorities. If he left her, yes, because she is not going to leave him. Categorically, no way. But will he leave her? He's put up with a lot. He's invested a lot of time in it. They're still muddling through with the pretense. And so now he knows he doesn't have to do barely anything for her to still stick around. I think she's physically going to give out before the relationship gives out, or the pretense of the relationship gives out. I think he's just waiting now. He's waiting for the inevitable, which is in a way sad. Obviously, it is a sad situation. But, well, I think Dad is with the Ministry of Education. Still might not matter, but I think he's higher up than Professor. Isn't he the person who decides what books are allowed to be used. He censors the books. But at the end of the day, I don't mean this in any bad way. He's not a national. I can't imagine him if he had that much influence, would his son have been in that bachelor pad, the Red Room? His son would have a better job because you'd use your influence. He would have had better living conditions. And I doubt very much he would have needed to scam Foodie into being with him. It just doesn't make sense. Her walking to the cat, how is she not terrified? I think she thinks she's invincible. I have said before that she truly believes she deserves all the best things in life, and I don't think she can comprehend her demise. Salah is slow in the brains. I have been very loath to comment on that because, as I said, because English isn't his first language, you can't judge him unless you understand what he's speaking in a language he's more comfortable in. But let's just say he's definitely not above average. Texan T, if she should pass, does she need to be buried within 24 hours as a Muslim? There will be no flying her body back to Canada if she dies in Kuwait. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Right. I am so sorry. As a Muslim, you are to be buried within 24 hours unless the death is suspicious. However, she's not a Kuwaiti. There is no cremation. Cremation is haram. You could not cremate Foodie anyway. This might be too much detail, but she has too much body fat to be cremated. Plus the equipment needed for, let's say, bariatric patients to be cremated would not be available in Kuwait. They're very, very rare in Western countries to find vessels that are big enough, for want of a better word, to deal with that. I looked into this out of curiosity. I wasn't going to make a video about it because it's kind of morbid. But if Salah stepped up and claimed to be responsible for the resting of Foodie, he would have to pay a lot of money, and I don't think he'd be willing to part with it. Her family would be contacted, and the cost of transporting an average body is up to $10,000, and there's nothing average about Foodie. She couldn't be cremated because there wouldn't be anywhere to cremate her to send her over slightly more travel friendly. This is anyway. What will happen if Salah doesn't step up and her family can't because it will put them in a real financial difficulty, to bring her back, is in 4 weeks she will be buried in a pauper's grave. I mean, there's nothing to add to that. That's how it works there. The death certificate would be in Arabic. In order for that to be recognised, it would need to be translated and stamped at the embassy there, the Canadian embassy, because your country of origin will not recognise the original documents in Arabic, and they will not recognise any translation unless it's been authorised, and it has to be authorised through the embassy. My wedding certificate was translated and stamped by the embassy. So the family in Canada, unless they had a translated copy and stamped version of the death certificate, wouldn't necessarily even be able to report it in Canada. So the end is bleak, which is why I think she has to get back to Canada within the next 2 months, because I don't think she'll be able to travel after that, unless this visit to the doctor changes something. And I literally think she is far too deep in her addiction now. I don't think she could go 2 days without fast food or junk food, not even 2 days. I think the first day she would be insufferable. She would be miserable. I think, personally, if she's actually seeing the doctor today, he is going to probably give her the insulin you take with every meal, because at the moment she gets the insulin you take once a day, but you can get insulin that you take throughout the day to control your levels. And she will probably misuse the insulin to, as she said, you don't take insulin as an excuse to eat pizza. Who would do that? She's going to be doing that. She's going to be using the insulin to get away with eating. The insulin injections will be the only reason she continues for a bit longer. She will be using it that way. She won't try and change. The medication's the only thing that's keeping her alive now. And now that's not working so well. The next level of medication she's going to get, she's going to use that instead. She will eat food according to what times her next injection is. Well, if she doesn't take the insulin, she can't eat the food, and eating the food is the most important thing. Do I know if Life by Jen was in insulin? No idea. I've only saw Life by Jen, the documentary that Mrs. Snowflake did. She does absolutely categorically inpatient treatment is the only thing that could save her now. Inpatient. She needs everything taken out of her hands. Absolutely no control at all over anything. She has to have, this is your food. no access to anything. If no snacks, no whatever. 3 meals a day, what she's given. If you don't eat it, you don't get any more. No access to going out of places, no access to shopping, no access to credit cards, no phone access, no internet access, no nothing. Absolute inpatient treatment. And even then, I think the second she's released, she will buy junk food. Prison. She needs prison. But then there's commissary. There's commissary. Yeah. All right, guys. Another 10 minutes, I think, would be prudent, because one of my hips is shouting at me. Hi, Hildy, Norway. I see a lot in Chantal as I had excuses. The way to walk, nothing changes until you work on yourself. Moni Javid, she's been so manic in the past couple of weeks. She has. It's the volume of food has doubled, and the speed that she eats has increased. And I didn't think that was possible. Blue Daisy, sorry, not sorry, but I have zero sympathy for someone who refuses to lift a finger to help themselves. The thing about people with NPD, narcissists, is they don't think they need help. They won't allow themselves to think they need help. They think they know better than any professional. My ex was a narcissist. He was never wrong. Never wrong. His way was the only way you should be doing things. Even if the alternative way that you showed him got the same result, his way was better. And even if you could categorically 100% prove he's wrong with evidence, it didn't matter. There's no way he would change his mind at all. And being with a person like that drives you insane. And 50% of your conversations with them is them making you feel like an idiot or telling you you're an idiot because you don't agree with them, or you have a different point of view, or you do something differently. Mary Joyce Lisa grew up with a military father. There was his way and the wrong way, even if their way was a wrong way. Have a mum. The evil things foodie's done to animals and people. I left that sympathy bone a long time ago. Foodie is nigh on impossible to feel sympathy for. Absolutely, categorically. Even during her era with Nada, which you feel bad for not feeling bad, because any other person in that position you would worry for, you'd feel bad for, but you can't. It's not possible in any way if you know enough. Yeah. But it is very puzzling how her brain works in such a way as she can't see it. I mean, it's the NPD, it's the ODD, it's the HPD that I believe she has, in my opinion. Obviously, you can't diagnose somebody on a screen 100% accurately, but if it looks like a duck, Uncle But's quarter, she was warned. There were red flags, same as now. Deborah Cadabra? Oh, that's a brilliant name. You should not feel bad for energy vampires. Both of them are. You feel a bit bad for not feeling bad because there is a sad situation if you saw it in other people. But she's she is arguably pathologically unpleasant. And I wish she had no access to animals at all. Did you feel the jealousy shown to Enemy Sucks by Salah was real or fake? That was not a message written by Salah. That is not how he words things. I think somebody else did it in order for us to be fooled into thinking Salah is bothered. He is not bothered at all. He doesn't care. That's a load of money. He has ceased to care about how this makes him look. He lost his dignity a long time ago. And he doesn't care how it makes her look. He's probably quite chuffed that, her attention is diverted to another bloke in some respects. But if she was suddenly to find herself single, I don't think Anime Sucks will take over. I think for Anime Sucks, Foodie is good at a distance. She's attractive and, appealing in theory, but I don't think he's Anime Sucks is going under another name, something Jackass. Yes, but I don't think he'd want her in reality. I think she thinks he would, but no. She needs a caretaker. She needs. I wouldn't wish a caretaker on her because she would be insufferable. Insufferable. In terms of her eyes, I did wonder what her life would be like if the first thing that happened health-wise was her losing her sight. Because there'd be no internet, no reading comments, none of that stuff. And that's her umbilical cord, in a way. That and food. If she lost her eyesight, food is literally the only thing left. Because she won't have her hug box. She can't do YouTube. Salah lost the rest of his dignity on the 28th of December 2023. Oh. That was... he not only cheated, normal straight up, just talking to somebody in an intimate way would have been bad enough, but this was, dare I say, chef's kiss? It couldn't have been. It was like somebody had written a script for that episode of their life. It was, it was spectacular in a weird way. All right. Anyway, sorry, my knee. Oh, I am going to go. I actually had more fun with this than I thought I would, given how early it is and unprepared I was. I'd just like to show you my cat before I go. There she is. She's not miserable, she's tired. All right, guys. More insomnia lives. Yes, but no. I mean, I'd prefer not to have the insomnia, but if it continues, we will see. All right. Thank you so much, absolutely everybody. This was spectacular. You guys are incredibly generous and wonderful. And did you notice absolutely no negativity in the comments whatsoever? I mean, who would have thought it was possible? Anyway, thank you so much. You are all brilliant people. Thank you. I will now go and finish my voodoo anglerfish. Thank you. Bye.